The process is typically like we work in a very mechanical format. What is the requirement, right? Those are the most easiest and simplest aspects of saying, hey, do you allow like implement credit card payments, right? Very straightforward. It is for payments. So the category is clear and what is required out of it is very clear. However, now the complexity of that requirement is what are you going to do for error handling? What type of errors do you surface? Are you an international organization and are you supporting other types of payment methods? Now, Europe has a multi-factor authentication format for payments, which is known as 3D secure. A similar happens in a lot of Asian countries where there's multi-factor authentication, where it has to go to the bank's page and you receive a text message to complete the payment, right? And then there are some scenarios where you are having a logbox and in a PCI compliant manner, you have staff receiving credit card data. And in that credit card data, it's a telephone order or a purchase order where you don't have other security data of the card. You just have the card number you enter. So you have to process that card. At the surface level, this requirement was very straightforward. Hey, can I accept a credit card payment? Great. But the type of complexity of that requirement requires a lot of other thought processes that is beyond just that action that the requirement is defining. The challenge in implementation is just that. The action that has been defined as a requirement, what are the layers that you have and you have to think through beyond what has to happen, right? So I can easily, and I'm just using this credit card payment as an example, but it exemplifies the complexity in every other requirement type, right? Hey, can I have a membership type that does calendar membership, right? Do you allow them to have a free period before them? Is that free period paid or free? Or how do you handle grace period? Do you give one-off extensions to the grace period? While the requirements which are defining the actions that the system should allow to happen are very simplistic and very fairly achievable, the biggest challenge in implementations is the definition of what that action covers. Getting clear picture for that sometimes comes up while completing another action. So you have to revisit the previous action because now you just uncovered a detail that the previous action was completed, right? So that would add a complexity. That is just one. The individuals or staff involved in the process, we are all human beings, right? And I myself get affected by the series of events that happen outside of work, right? And so sometimes I'm not in the best mindset of providing all the details because I've just not had the time to think through and write it down, right? The staff that is overseeing this implementation face the same challenge. Like they start this process, everything is looking great, and then because of the time commit that they have not been able to provide all the nitty-gritty details of those actions. And then later on, as they are going through the system, oh, I completely forgot of sharing that. Oh, I completely forgot of adding that. So these details start adding layers, and which is where the complexity happens. So how do you build a culture around this entire process of, hey, here's our focus time, let's make sure we do better, but recognizing that we may have to come revisit this based on something that happens in the future. This is just a discovery, a scoping level challenge. The other challenge is now, if you think about, if your discovery scoping, which is never going to be 100% perfect, this is going to bleed into your implementation strategy. The details that I have for this particular requirement are X. Now I am going to go achieve that X. And because I didn't have the context of the other items that are going to come back in the future, I've implemented and achieved X, which clearly is going to have its gap because I didn't have all the details. So the reworking takes time. As an implementer, if I'm not asking sufficient questions of why do I have to implement a process the way it is defined versus can we revisit this process, right? That is where a lot of mistakes happen, because now what we are doing is it's almost like we are cloning a process built in system A to a process in system B. Technology stack of system B and technology stack of system A are not the same. So now you are spending all the energy of reinventing the wheel at the technology stack level just to clone the process. And that is a big debt that the organization creates, because the action and requirement have to be completely rethought in certain instances for based on how the stack that you're working on, right? And can you evolve this process that actually works better in this stack? And I feel like a lot of systems suffer from that challenge a lot. Now you're trying to make the stack work for the process versus marry the stack and the process into this new unique process that works for the organism. It's hard, right? We as human beings can't keep learning. I've worked on an association for 20 years. I know it's like I've built that mental habit, right? Click, 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 click. Now I have to completely relearn and re-remember, oh, it's just click, click, done, or click, 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 done, right? Those are all ancillary challenges that add to the complexity of implementation.